Hey everybody, Keith with PartsCounterGuru.com, back by popular demand with another RV segment. This time we're going to do a how-to and a review video. That's two videos for the price of one for those of you keeping score at home. And we're going to do it on this King Extend LTE cell signal booster. Now this works with 5G and 4G LTE. It actually works with all cell signals here in the United States. This is a great option for those of you that are trying to work on the road in an RV or in some sort of mobile rig setup and need access to the internet and have to rely on your cell service provider. So we're going to get to that here in just a minute. And as a little bonus, I'm going to show you how I did mine without drilling any holes in the roof. That's right, I did, and I will show you exactly how I did coming up right after this. Alright, so you need to pick a spot on your roof. I would recommend that you go ahead and lay all your cables out. You can see that's what I'm doing here. In my case, I chose to mount the external antenna at the highest point I could. You really do want it on the highest point of your roof, but I have a toy hauler, and if I put it at the very top of my roof, it's going to extend me well over 13.5 inches, or 13 feet 6 inches, and that's just a little too tall. It gets risky. I could risk getting that external antenna struck by some other things. So I put it kind of in the middle there. I chose a vent. This is an air conditioner vent over my garage, and I pulled the cover off the vent, as you can see here, and it had some kind of chicken wire, and I just cut a little small hole in the chicken wire, and I was able to feed that right down through the roof into my garage without drilling any holes. Now you may not have that option, but just wanted to give you an example there of how I did it. And then this is me kind of laying everything out. You can see the external antenna there. Now the cable that you get for this external antenna is two different sizes. There's one end that goes to the external antenna and the other end that goes to your booster, which should be mounted inside. And you can see those differences there in sizes. Alright everybody, so got the external antenna on the roof. There are three components to the cell phone booster part of this setup, and that is the external antenna, the booster, and the internal antenna. It looks like this right here. So you've got external antenna, booster, right here, and your internal antenna. This is a lot smaller than this, by the way. So what you want to check is, once you get everything set up, before you permanently mount it, you want to plug this in and you want to check for a green light. If you've got everything hooked up correctly, you'll get a green light. Now you'll have to check the manual. If you put these two or these two too close together, you could create a loop and you could get some interference, and that would be a possible reason that this light is not going to go green. So check that before you permanently mount it. In my case, I've got a green light here. I did a pretty good distance away, so in my RV, which has a garage, I mounted the booster up here because I've got power directly below it, and then I ran a cable all the way up, and I actually hid my internal antenna right here behind my television. And I tested signal on that. It worked pretty good. In fact, it worked really well. The TV interference was not an issue for me, but just check that and make sure that it works well for you. Now, also note, just to repeat myself a little bit here, you do not want to put that booster too close to either of those two antennas. So just make sure that you keep some pretty good distance between the booster and the two antennas. You also don't want to have those two antennas very close to each other. So for example, you don't want to have the external antenna like just within a few feet directly above your internal antenna. So just keep that in mind when you're laying out your locations. Alright everybody, so as promised, I'm going to show you how I did this to mine without drilling any holes in my roof. Now, before I show you this, just know that drilling holes in your roof is not necessarily going to cause problems. If you do it right, if you put down your sealant and and then you put the screws in, and then you put more sealant down on top of it, just like they tell you to do in the instructions, in most cases you're going to be just fine. But a lot of people just get nervous about putting any holes in the roof. And I understand that. I've drilled holes in my roof to add solar panels. You can see one behind me right here. That was 2 years ago. I've never had a leak. I did it right. Okay, but this is the kind of project that if you don't want to drill holes in your roof, there's several ways you can do it, and you won't have to drill holes. So let me show you how I did mine. I used this, and by the way, I apologize for the wind noise. We are up here on my roof, it's a little bit noisy. But I used this rubber roof membrane repair. So basically, it's just really, really strong tape. Now, I have a white roof. This is the actual membrane of my roof. You can see that right here. This stuff comes in a roll. Now, it looks gray, but that's just the coating on the outside. You peel that off, and it attaches to your roof. It's super strong. It's really, really strong. And let me show you what it looks like when I attached the finished product to my roof. Take a look right here. All right, so this is the actual antenna. This is that membrane. Now, over time, it's gonna discolor and it'll blend in a little bit to the roof. But this stuff is super duper strong. It's gonna hold just fine. You can see here I've got it attached to the bracket. In the event that it does pop loose, because you always want to prepare for the worst, I did attach several zip ties to make sure here that I've secured this thing, that if for what, let's say, you know, it hits something hits it, right, and it pulls it loose, it's not going to go away. In fact, it's not going to go more than just a foot on either side of me. That said, this stuff right here is super strong. It should hold yours down just fine. Just make sure that you follow the instructions. Now, this stuff is expensive. So I happen to have a big roll that I came across a while back. If you can get a smaller piece, you're gonna be better off. This is a 6-inch wide roll. That's what I used here. My roll was actually 25 feet long. You don't need all that, okay? You don't need a 25 foot long, obviously, roll. That's gonna probably cost you over $100, but if you can get your hands on a smaller piece, it'll work, and it'll work well. I would not use duct tape. I wouldn't use anything that's not roof rated for one reason. It could actually damage that membrane underneath, okay? This stuff I actually could potentially, if I ever wanted to take it off, I could take it off and the membrane underneath would be just fine. So you don't want anything that's gonna have chemicals that's gonna eat through the membrane. You do need to have something that's pretty strong. So there you go, guys. That's how I attached my roof, my roof antenna version to my RV without drilling any holes. All right, so I've had the booster on for a couple months. I've road tested it quite a bit out in the western United States, been up in the mountains, have tested my mount with the roof membrane that I showed you earlier in the video, and some pretty strong wind gusts in Wyoming, no issues at all. Really happy with the booster. Has done a great job of getting me usable data service where I need it in areas that I may not be able to use it. As a nice added bonus, the kit that I got came with this WIFIMAX router range extender. Now this actually allows you to extend Wi-Fi. So for example, if you're somewhere where there's public Wi-Fi or you have campground Wi-Fi, but you don't want to jump on their network and you want to be behind a firewall, or let's say, for example, they only allow you one device connection, you can use this as your one device and then connect all your devices behind it. So that came in the same kit on mine, and I really actually liked that. It was a nice surprise. Didn't think I was going to need it. Has been the thing that I have used repeatedly the most, because I'll use it whether I'm on my cellular network or I'm on my Wi-Fi network. I'm using that. So, great experience with this kit. I'll put a link in the description, in the comments, and my dog is telling me it's time to wrap it up. So I guess it's time to wrap it up. Thanks, everybody. If this video was at all helpful, remember to hit that subscribe button, click the bell, tell a friend, and check out our website at partscounterguru.com. See you next time.